Hello my fellow demons, angels, mortals, and of course awesome otherworldly beings. We're back at it again with another video. This time, I don't know if I'll have it public or unlisted, but as you probably read the title, if I titled it properly, I'm going to try and explain all of my book, all of my series, in hopefully under 10 minutes. Hopefully under 5 minutes, if I'm lucky enough. But you guys, by now, probably know I love to ramble. This is specifically made for a certain person. A certain few people, actually. So I can stop typing for hours on end trying to explain things without ever getting all of the things I want to explain explained. So, what I have here is one of the main drawings. Not the newest main drawing, but one of the ones that show the most amount of characters. So we're just gonna go over characters first, then books, what's happening in those books, what is to happen in books that are to come, and then extra series stuff. So, without further ado, let's get started here. First things first, we have the main being herself, Emma. Main character, everything revolves around her. She is based off of me in a sense, but you know what? Throw in just a little touch of demon. Her sister is Star. We're gonna go through families first. So we're gonna do families and then etc. So it kind of ties into their stories a bit. Explaining all of this is going to be tricky. So we have Emma. Emma and Star, they're sisters. Star is the younger sister. Emma is the older sister. They have parents, obviously. Their mother is a human. Their father is dead. Their father was a demon who also worked for a head of a church. Kind of undercover, everyone understood, and it was his main goal to prove that not all demons are bad, just like Emma's main goal is now, except she gets hunted down, but we'll get to that later. Third main character, Winter. His mother was killed by his father was a demon. He's actually adopted. His father turned him into a half-demon. His father is actually the reason that Emma and Star's father is dead. They tied in together. That's all I'm explaining for right now. Star, she was turned into a demon, a half-blood demon just like Winter, halfway through the series. Clinton, number one villain, really, but they're friends now. He's also, bi-curious, but he likes wearing this very colorful gay shirt. That's explained later on in their book. Carl is Clinton's lover. Their relationship is very complicated. I won't spoil much because I don't know how to piece it together properly the way I want to, but they're not related by blood at all. But Clinton had a very complicated childhood. His brother was a demon that killed his father and almost killed him. His character is named Jake. I don't know how their story's going yet. It's still a work in progress. But anyway, so Clinton went through adoption houses constantly, right? Like 20 of them. But he has anger issues, so they all put him back up for adoption like assholes, which led him to Carl's mother adopting him. Main part of the story that's going to happen for them is Carl's mother is going to agree to unadopt him, so they're not related by blood, so they can continue the more-than-brother relationship that they have. Let me reiterate, they are not biologically related at all, and they never will be. It's complicated, but some love needs to be complicated for it to just kind of fit together. Unlike Star and Winter's relationship, where they're lovers, they got together completely. The only conflict they ever had was when Star had issues with her powers and Corellia revived. That's explained later. Now, on the next characters. We have Ira. Some of you might recognize that name. She was thrown into the books much like a lot of my other friends. Ira is probably the main character of the friend groups that I've had. She helped me through a lot. We don't talk anymore, but she's great. I don't really know how to explain her character. She's just there. She was turned into a demon after one of the villains were killed, and she technically messed with a spell. She's there for emotional support and chaos. Now, we move on to pretty much background characters before I jump over to this section over here, where it's villains. This is Maddie. Sierra, and Cassie, all old friends of mine, complete background characters that serve a big purpose in book 2 and 3. We have these two little beans here. Andra and Jack probably got their names mixed up like I do constantly. They're brothers, not twins. One's a demon, one's not. They exist literally just to create conflict. One was almost hit by a car, which Emma saved. Again, in an act to show that not all demons are bad, which then he revealed that he was a demon. Winter got excited because their both power colors are gray. They exist. They are literally there just to be cute background characters that find them at a pizza store in the middle of downtown. Now we got onto the main beans themselves, the people who create all of the conflict. Some names might sound a bit familiar, but starting from middle to sides, because middle is the main villain herself, Curlia. She possessed Emma, caused her to pretty much go mad. Emma has a huge problem with her. She ended up dying. Great battle. That actually turned Ira into a demon. She was a full demon from hell, pureblood herself, was literally just sent so that demons are shown as villains, that they should be feared, etc., etc. She failed miserably. Then we go on to Akeisha. She was a villain, much like Curlia. They were actually partners in crime. She brought a hellhound with her and still failed, but ended up causing this scar, as you can barely see on Emma's neck when she was decapitated. Slightly. She survived because Star is a healer. Then we got Ava here. She was a fallen angel. She was a normal angel, actually, but her white wings were never shown for the fact that she was only ever a villain. She was never good, and when she was introduced, she was shown as a friend. She was actually one of the best friends, along with Cassie, Maddie, Sierra. But once she found out that Emma was a demon, she tried to get them all against her by, hinting towards demons can kill, they're bad, etc., etc. She was an angel, so of course she had that natural reaction. That was the point. But she let her anger and stuff get the best of her, so she ended up creating a spell, or finding a spell, yada yada, ended up possessing, in a sense, a whole bunch of people to do her bidding. She ended up turning Star into a demon with a spell gone wrong, then proceeded to kill Emma, which people were able to revive Emma. Star and Winter were able to revive Emma. And then they took down Ava, properly, in a spell that she was sent to hell. Just like these two beings here, Devin and Jason. They are literally there to be shit disturbers in book 2. They bullied Emma and Star to the point where they ended up half kidnapping Star, where Emma found her in an alleyway, broken, bloodied, bruised, etc., etc. So Emma went mad, tried to listen to Star not to hurt them or anything, when they eventually said fuck it and charged at them with all they had until they were promptly sent to hell. I think that was all the characters on this list. So now, after, oh my god, 7 minutes of just explaining the characters. Fuck. Okay, it's fine. Next we have, the books themselves. I didn't open this properly. Where is it? This one. Okay. So, Google Drive file. That's where everything can be found. Links to everything will be, hopefully, in the description. They're not numbered properly, but we have book 1, Demon Girl. Baseline story of this is, it introduces Emma and Star. Of course, Star is still a human in this, where they have recently moved to a big city. They were scared, Emma got bullied, Star got bullied in a way to get to Emma, where she met some great friends, and some background characters who were introduced probably only for 2 scenes, 1 for introduction and 2 for later reasons, just to help the main character. These 4 people were named Noelle, Taylor, and Bianca. Again, some of my best friends. I love them dearly. I had to throw them in my books, even if it was for 2 scenes, because they should be remembered. They're amazing. But yes, book 1. You know, we can open all this and then scroll through so it's easier to explain. Book 1 wasn't rewritten, but the voice acted, what's it called? Audiobook with pictures is uploaded on my YouTube channel, of course. I don't really need to put the link in the description. This video is going to be on my YouTube channel. But yes, so introduction, they exist. Chapter 1, they get through things, they find some friends, they realize that they got a new enemy. Chapter 2, the enemies start progressively getting worse. They start spreading rumors, fighting them, just being dicks, like bullies do. Chapter 3, there was a lot of drama and chaos and kind of like emotional scenes that weren't written out properly, so I will probably be rewriting book 1 eventually, but I don't know if I'll be redoing the voice acting part of book 1. Book 4, chapter 4, kind of just shows some character development, and then one major fight between the bullies and Emma and Star, where they had a chance to escape. Emma was like, you know what, no, I can't kill you guys, so I'm gonna scare the fuck out of you guys with my demon form, and you're gonna run off like babies. But then they start rumors, and they're not happy about that, which is later explained in a different book that I will be getting to eventually. So book 5, they decide to take things up a notch, and Clinton, in a very delusional rage, decided to try and kill Emma in the middle of a school field, because in his eyes he was protecting everyone from a monster. That turned out terribly. Everyone's alive though. Woo! Chapter 6, Clinton and Carl decided to actually try and ambush Emma to finish the job, but instead they learned why Emma was so defensive and what she really wanted to prove in life. She didn't want to hurt people, she just had to. She didn't have control over her powers because her father never taught her how. So they kind of made up, everything's okay, they became friends. Chapter 7 is the conclusion of everything and the explanation on why everyone is as they are. Then we move on to book 2. But I have it right here, because there was, I guess not really more people to introduce. It was, again, the four best friends, Ava, Sierra, Maddie, Cassie. They were big parts in this book just for characters to add, in a sense. Chapter 1, Introduction. They're in school, brand new school year. Find friends, they find enemies. Chapter 2, kind of building action. She was starting to get bullied. Her friends tried to calm her down. Emma was trying to protect Star and just be the bigger sister like she is. Where, in reality, she ended up crying more than anyone ever, and Star was being the bigger sister and trying to help her. Chapter 3, there was a lot of bullying, a lot of chaos, drama. Ava started to catch on to the fact that Emma was a demon. So she got pretty distant, in a sense, very suspicious of Emma. Although their birthday happened, and they made some friends through that, even though their birthday was happening, Ava was like, don't demons kill, aren't you a bad person? Chapter 4. Kind of shows more character development for Emma and Star, their relationship as sisters, trying to help each other out while still being themselves. Chapter 5, more drama. Finally their birthday instead, I think. Yeah, finally their birthday. They get the presents, everyone's explaining this and that, and then, of course, shit goes down as Ava decides to be a bitch again, and is more suspicious, and kind of says in front of all of her friends, don't demons kill. It's like forcefully painting her as a villain. So all of that goes haywire. Chapter 6, it starts up as great. Although Emma's super anxious because they hear something about Jason and Devin, and they have a plan. That's all Emma knows. She was possibly seen in an alleyway trying to escape them in her demon form, so they know that she's a demon. Although later on, they ended up, of course, kidnapping Star in a sense. A huge fight happens, drama happens, Emma starts losing control of her form, and then eventually, as the fight progresses and worsens, she sent them to hell. I would like to mention, though, this is a prequel to book 1, so chronologically it goes 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. Chapter 7 is the conclusion to everything, wrapping up, saying goodbye to the friends because they decided to move into the big city to get away from all the drama, finally getting away from this town where they lived because there was too many bad memories. Not just the fight that just happened between Jason and Devon, but that's where that's where her father was killed, and more things that the mother doesn't speak of. Then we are on to book 3. And how much time have we gone through? 15 minutes. Well, there goes the under 10 minutes thing. Book 3. This is a tie-in to Ava. Her character herself. She comes back because she was kind of hidden in the last book. She purposely tried to stay out of things in the very end. So she comes back, hunts down Emma and Star, ends up turning Star into a demon. Actually, let's start this chapter by chapter still. So, chapter 1, it's, kind of, again, the ending bit of book 1, where it's explaining everything that's happened, and then they're like, we miss our old friends, let's go visit them, because it's been about, I think, 3 months, about a month, sorry. So about 2 months since they've seen their last friends, and they're like, you know what, we gotta go see them. So they go and visit, and then they find out that Ava is becoming a problem. So it causes some very panicky scenes and anxiety-filled scenes between Emma and Star, where it shows more character development in all the wrong ways for Emma. Chapter 4 is them returning home, and Carl and Clinton, they're all friends now, slightly. They're still anxious around each other, and they cause problems, but they're trying, and that's where most of the character development comes in between them. But Carl's super happy for a new student coming, which everyone suspects is Ava. Spoiler warning, it is. So Carl's super happy, which just makes Star and Emma more anxious, but Carl just wants to make new friends. Everyone in the school, except Star and Emma, kind of hate Clinton and Carl, just as much as some people hate Emma and Star for the fact that Emma's a demon. Chapter 5, boom, Ava's here. Chapter 6, oh, yikes, I missed something in Chapter 5. Chapter 5, everything goes to shit. Ira, their best friend, was secretly part of the organization that Ava created, but they were on... Ira was on Emma's side, so they tried to mess with the spell. They tried to get Emma out of it so Emma wouldn't be hurt, which in turn turned Star into a demon. So then the next day, after they were able to run away from everyone, Emma and Star decide to run away from home, out of the city, so they wouldn't be hunted down anymore. They run to their aunt's house in the middle of the woods, just a little while outside of the city, just to be safe, which is here. All of Chapter 7 is just kind of a closing down of all of this book, kind of dies down a bit, and then epilogue. It kind of ties into book 4 very well. It explains a lot more between the aunt and the mother and how everyone's okay with them just jumping out of the city for a while. Although the mother is very out of it in this story, like she's not there all the time, if at all, really. But she understands that she doesn't understand anything about their life because of how she's a demon. Then we go on to book 4. Book 4 wasn't rewritten yet. Book 4 is Star's journey. It starts off with a massive amount of chaos. Actually, the ending of book 3 started off with a bunch of chaos that ties into book 4, where Emma teaches Star how to be a demon, how to survive as a demon, etc., etc., just to try and control her powers as much as Emma knew how. So, chapter 1, it's been a while. They have been trying to experiment with her powers a bunch. They've been staying at their aunt's house. And it starts tying in Winter as a main character, because Winter uses a lot of spells to try and contact them and explain to them that something's going to go wrong. And he doesn't know what it is, but he knows that something's going to go wrong, and they need to be prepared for it. Chapter 2, they realize that they saw Ava spying on them, and Emma starts jumping up her game. She's trying to help Star, trying to make her understand her powers, etc., etc. Chapter 3, Emma knows something's about to happen, and the end of chapter 3, Emma dies. Ava ends up ambushing Star and Emma while their aunt is away. Star is kidnapped and they try to figure out what's wrong with Star. They try to figure out how they can fix this, really. Ava likes Star. Ava just hates Emma and demons. So Ava had a plan to actually fix Star and turn her back into a human instead of a half-blood, but Star feels too threatened since she literally just saw her sister killed in front of her, so she ends up running off. Chapter 4, it's only Star's view. She ends up landing in a forest where she meets Winter, and there's huge character development between them. Chapter 5, they're able to understand Winter, but it also shows a lot of character development, again, in the worst ways, where it's like PTSD and anxiety for Star, literally just having to deal with all of the people hunting her down now. People who have hunted her down, and people who might hunt her down now that she's a demon. Winter says that there might be a way to revive her sister, but he's hesitant, because his whole reason for being out in that forest, out and away from everyone, was to resurrect his mother. He starts helping Star more and decides that Emma would be more important. They ended up resurrecting Emma, and Winter, now that he was finally able to fix his powers, was able to turn into a human, because he was a wolf this whole time. He was able to turn into a wolf. He was stuck in that wolf form due to a traumatic event with his father that will be explained when I get to it. Chapter 7, they start returning to the city to confront Ava and talk to Ira and make sure she's okay. They start getting more information from Winter, who had a lot more information to give about the magic in their world, about how they exist, about who exists, really. Demon angels, fallen angels, half-bloods, etc., etc. Chapter 8, shit goes down. They confront Ava, things go wild, it's great. Murderer, people being called murderers, demons, etc., etc. Star decides to just lose her fucking mind. It's great. Chapter 8, Winter finally confronts them about how he's connected to them, where it's his father killed their father in a car crash, and he just wants to be able to apologize and explain how sorry he is, because he feels like he is at fault, which will be explained later. And then the end of chapter 9, wow, I just can't read. Ava decides to ambush them with Clinton and Carl at her side under a spell. They almost kill Clinton and Carl, not realizing it was a spell and not just duplicates made from magic. Because they were able to fight the spell, which is actually shown in my eyes perfectly in Clinton and Carl's book. It's beautiful, really. But yes, they're able to save Clinton and Carl and send Ava to hell. Book 5 is Demonic Encounters. This is my favorite book. Wait, is this book 6? No, book 6 is that. Oh, that's because I got the names wrong. It's The Demon Within that's book 5. Again, it's my favorite book. I may be a little stupid, but it's my favorite book. That's because the main character introduced here is Corellia. Chapter 1 introduces someone stalking them. No, wait, sorry, I'm losing my mind here. Introduces that Emma's starting to feel odd. She's able to hear a different voice. Her magic seems a bit more uncontrollable. She's losing her mind in her eyes. Chapter 2, something's definitely wrong. They see something different with magic that's going on. Emma's starting to wake up with bruises and marks and burn marks, and they don't know how. But Winter understands what spell could be used and ends up investigating and finding out that this demon possessing Emma is none other than Corellia. Chapter 3, they're still dealing with Corellia and trying to figure out what's going on, but they start talking with Ira more. Ira becomes a bigger character in this book for the ending. Chapter 4, they start realizing that Corellia is a problem. Emma's starting to be able to talk to Corellia and understand what's going on, so she's able to remember the interactions between them. Corellia ends up showing that she is there to end them. Whether it be, like, who they are, what they are, or themselves. They are to try and kill them. They are sent from hell to figure out what's going on up here and literally just to wreck their shit up. Chapter 5, Corellia starts torturing Emma from inside her mind, being able to control her powers, and making her lash out at her friends, which causes more conflict between Emma, Star, and Winter, where Emma's not meaning to, but fighting Star and Winter, and unable to heal any of the marks or cuts and bruises that she is given from them protecting themselves. So a fight happens between Star and Emma because Star is done with this and she doesn't like that Emma is lashing out, but she doesn't really understand what's going on, and Winter is literally just trying to use Star, and Star is agreeing to this, to scare Emma into performing a spell that turns her into a human, which is the whole thing that happened in book 3, where Emma didn't want to use that spell and be turned into a human. So, without being able to heal, Star ends up hurting Emma and then running away feeling guilty from it, leaving Emma to sit there and be burnt. Like, all of her arm is burnt, and she's just sitting there, unable to heal because Corellia has a grasp on her powers, so she's just sitting there being tortured, and she ends up lashing out at Winter for it because they know that Winter is the reason that this happened. Chapter 6. They decide to run, Emma decides to run away, to take Corellia with her, in a sense, to get rid of what's going on. Chapter 7, Emma goes back to the aunts. There is a bit of PTSD, understandably, like, she was killed in that house, so, but it's her only safe place, in a sense. To get away from Star, Winter, Ira, to protect them, she put herself at risk again, and she tries to study some spells that she doesn't understand, just to try and get rid of Corellia. But instead, in chapter 8, she says a spell that ends up cutting off Corellia's possession, which just makes Corellia come to her in her own form and try and kill her. Where her aunt saves her by revealing that she is an angel. And it's great, and it's beautiful. Chapter 9, actually, the end of chapter, okay, chapter 8's like the big one, I'm sorry. Chapter 8, Emma starts running back to the city after being revived again. They end up fighting with Corellia. Winter and Star try and take down Corellia as well, where Emma is, like, just trying to protect her friends, but is dead scared of Corellia. Finally, they're able to take down Corellia, where Winter says a spell, but Ira hits Corellia at the same time, which her power was transferred to Ira, and she was turned into a half-blood. Chapter 9 ties everything up. It's kind of just an epilogue in a sense, where they find Jack and Andra. For the second time, apparently. I don't remember when they found them the first time, because they're such boring side characters that I just wanted to introduce because they're cute. But in the very end of it, it introduces another character that no one knows yet. That is Akeisha. And now, we move on to Demonic Encounters, Chapter 6, Book 6, fuck. It starts off with Akeisha being a new student in their school, named, of course, Akeisha. Emma has a bad feeling about her. I don't have the chapters marked again. Okay. Chapter 1, Introduction, and, some character development between Star and Winter. Chapter 2, everyone kind of is, a little suspicious of Akeisha, but Akeisha just wants to focus on Emma because she thinks Corlia is still possessing Emma. Eventually, she realizes that, Corlia's gone, and all of her power is as well. You're just your own demon now. Emma finds out that she's a demon, that she's been stalking them, and Emma tries to just tell her straight out, listen, I don't want any of your chaos. Just leave us alone. I don't want anything happening to my friends or my sister. Chapter 3, there's just more character development between all the characters, showing how Emma's reacting to everything after Corlia and everything that's going on because of Akeisha, where she's not able to keep track of the days, she's stressing about the small things, and then they find out that Winter has just been staying in the woods. It's not really much of a big deal in my eyes, but of course, this character, he's 18, has just been chilling in the woods. Because he's half-wolf, of course. He's a half-blood that's able to turn into a wolf. Half-blood demon turned into a wolf. So he just stays in his wolf form half the time. And chillaxes. And anytime he's not in his full wolf form, he's in his half-human, half-wolf form, where he has wolf ears and a wolf tail. Number 1 furry. Now, chapter 4. There's more interaction between Ira and the gang, and Akeisha showing that she is a problem. She gives Emma an ultimatum where it's, listen, you take this spell or I kill all of you guys. And she's like, I'll think about it. And she's like, tick-tock, Emma, time is running out. A number 1 villain. I love her. JK, I actually hate her. But anyway, chapter 5, shit goes down. She ends up trying to explain to her friends that something's coming, and then eventually she ends up spilling the beans. She's like, she spills that Akeisha's a pure-blooded monster that's trying to kill them, and she doesn't know what to do, and then, boom, Akeisha's like, I couldn't have said it better myself, and then, boom, fight time. Her cute little black lab pup that she has turns into a hellhound. Everything goes to shit. There's a major fight, magic is involved, people get, injured immensely. Winter loses one of his ears in his wolf form, not including the many scars they get from the fight itself. Eventually, Emma finds a way to use the spell without killing her in the process. But she was running out of time. The spell could only be done at night, and they were ambushed 2 hours before sundown. They were fighting and hanging on by dear life, until Emma decided that it was about time she did something. Akeisha had formed a scythe by now and was attacking Star and Ira. Ira was able to find out her powers earlier in this book, where she was able to create a sword and shield from her magic. Much like her powers as Star does. Star has healing powers. She's able to heal people, as Winter has transformation powers. He's only able to transform into a wolf. Chapter 6. Chapter 5 ends off with Emma running towards everyone, using a spell to send the mental image of what she needs to do to everyone, so she can end this once and for all. But something goes wrong. Akeisha moves the scythe towards Star, and so the only thing that Emma can do is protect Star. But yes, Akeisha creates a scythe aimed towards Star. Emma decides to jump in between them to take the hit for Star while still performing the spell to get rid of Akeisha. Although, all that Emma knows is the scythe hits her neck and everything goes black. It shows a second life, in a sense. My life, actually. Where it is Emma and her two brothers, Theo and Ryan, her black lab pup named Winnie, which was my dog back when I was still creating the series, and is kind of a tribute to her before she died. She ends up kind of mixing things together. Her life, she doesn't really understand, is a second life of the demon girl life. So, in this moment, she's like, oh, I love these pancakes, they're so great, her brother says. And it's like, yeah, I learned from the best, where she doesn't realize in this life, she taught herself, where in the past, in her other life, Star taught her. So, eventually she realizes when she falls asleep, she returns to that other life. She awakes in her own bed. Star is looming over her, worried as hell, because Star just had to save her from another near-death experience. And Emma's just thankful that she's alive, whether it be in that life or the other one. It actually gives a tribute, a little thanks tribute to the schools I was in, that all the teachers helped me create this book, whether it be like in general or just emotional support. I couldn't have had better teachers, really. Some of them were hard to work with. Some of them, again, were hard to work with, but they helped me more than anything. Some of them, they were just plain great. And, of course, I've never made better friends since my first two best years, or best, not years, but like best schools, and my two worst bully encounter schools. What I'm trying to say is, middle school and elementary, best and worst years of my life. I had so many bullies. I had terrible encounters with said bullies, but I made the best fucking friends that I've ever made, whether it be through school itself or just in that time frame when I was looking for some way to get out of that life. I started playing games and met the best friends I've ever known. And it was great. So again, before I continue rambling on towards the rest of this series chaos, I just want to say a very formal thank you to these two schools listed bonk right here, to all the teachers that taught me, and the biggest thanks to all the friends. Every single friend I made, and even a thanks to the enemies. To all those bullies who pissed me the fuck off. Thanks for giving me stuff to write about. I literally couldn't have made this series without needing a release. So, in a sense, even though I hate your guys' guts more than I could hate anybody. Thanks for the shit you caused in my life. Now, moving on to probably my second favorite thing in this series. This. This is, as the title suggests, the Demon Girl Universe Handbook. It explains everything that there possibly could be and more to come for this series. I actually did this in the wrong order. I was going to explain the side books and then this, but I guess we're doing this first, which explains a lot more before I get to those side books. So there's like 3 other books that I need to explain, and then 5 other ones that I just want to explain. So we'll start off with just randomly flipping through this stuff. We have frequently asked questions, which I don't mind making 3 fucking pages of frequently asked questions if this gets big enough, and like, oh, how did this happen? How did this happen? Why does this exist? And then there's, of course, the stupid questions like, oh, how does this work with the magic? And then half the answers are just, it's magic, deal with it. Recent updates. These are great, but I will get to them in a second. Suggestions page. Please give me suggestions on books. If you ever get so into the series that like, oh, I think you should elaborate more on this and that. I want to. I want to do everything that I could possibly ever think of and more for this series. Random facts. What decides a half-blood's right or left eye changing? Literally nothing. When can a divine being show their true form? Whenever. What decides a divine being's true power color? Lots. How long does it take for a divine being to heal a giant cut? It depends. So, random facts like that, there's a ton more that is explained through all of this. We got demon stones or pendants. They are a big thing in the series, and it explains everything about them. Demons. We have 3 full pages on pure blood demons. We have how their eyes work, how their blood and magic works, how their fire works, different things that just exist between demons and why their eyes turn black, and muscles and healing and all that. Then we have pure blood demons and specific traits for them, where their horns are curled, their tails are long, they have an average of 2.7 feet, can grow up to 3 feet long. And their power color chooses a lot of how the colors fade. Wings is literally just demon wings. Of course, I try and draw everything that I can out so it explains a bit, especially how power colors work, where it fades in certain ways. Of course, all demons have a natural pure blood color, which is the number, and the red color there. Whereas, we'll go like left to right. If a natural being's, or a divine being's power color is white, the flame that they might wield would look like that, where it's red and it fades to their power color as white. Their horns, if they had a power color of yellow, would fade to the ends of being yellow. Emma's, where her main power color is magenta, it fades upwards from black to her color like any other. Like, if it was yellow, it would fade to black to yellow, or white from black to white, which would look awesome. Which is actually what Winter's looks like. Or the tail. I actually use Star's color, despite Star being a half-blood, but it's not very different. The color fades from red to a very pure color of, like, the tail tip of every divine being is their pure color, without any fade. Then we got half-bloods, where their horns, they have sharp, outwards horns, where they don't curl at all. Tails, they're much shorter. Their eyes, only one of them can turn black, whereas pure blood demons, they have enough power that both of them turn black, which actually throws a whole different concept in Curlia Revived, which is another book that I'll get to at the end of this. Wings. Almost exactly the same, but a little bit smaller. Half-blood color ideas. Their horns fade the same. Their wings fade backwards, where it's black to their main color. Their tails fade the same. But there's mutations that demons and angels, which are explained later, there's a whole bunch of pages in this, where some demons can have, okay, so I'll just go through this the way it's written. When a pure demon changes to a half-demon through a spell or vice versa, the horn shape is the only thing that will change between the two naturally. Everything obeys the half-blood or pure-blood rules. So if a half-blood was turned into a pure-blood, they would keep the tail length and wing shape, but their horns would change into the curled horns. Demons, or pure-blood demons, their curled horns would turn straight, but their tail length would stay the same, as well as their wings. Full demons have, or pureblood demons have a chance to have a tri-spiked end on their horns. All of these are shown in pictures, by the way, at the end of this. Purebloods have a higher chance of this mutation, but it can occur in both. It's a hooked wing, where they have little claws at the ends of their wings. Half-demons have a higher chance of a diamond-shaped or cat-like pupil, which Winter has. A mutation that both can have is inverted flame colors, where instead of it fading from red to white like here, it would fade from white to red. But the red to white, or red to power color, is natural between purebloods and half-bloods. Number 6. Half-demons have a variety of horn mutations that will be shown next. Number 7, tail tips have a variety of mutations as well. And number 8, stripes. It's really pretty, really. So then we have this. So number 1 is they have different horn variation. No. Oh. I did it wrong, that's why. I explained it wrong. If a demon is changed, they have this type of horn in number 1 where it's half curled, half straight. Number 2 is the tri-spiked horn tip for purebloods. Number 3 is the spiked wing for anything really. Number 4 is the cat-like pupil. Number 5 is inverted flame colors where it'd be like a golden or yellow, which is what all of this is shown as. Number 6 is the different horn mutations that they could have, where if you look, is my cursor shown? Awesome. If you look right here, where it's ignoring the smaller one, this is what a natural demon horn, a half-blood demon horn would look like. But one of the mutations is to have a second little horn right beside it, or having little horns in general, or a spiked horn in the end. There are different tail tips as well, where the natural one is kind of like this, but more pointed at the end. But they have hearts, royal tail tips, which are sought after in a lot of pureblood demons in hell, which is something that existed between Kayla or Corlia or both. Why I say those two names together will be explained later. There's clover tail tips where kind of just, they look like clubs almost. Or there's star tail tips where they kind of look like stars. Now number 8 is showing the stripe-like pattern to the wings, tail, horns. That could be a mutation for some people. For some half-blood demons. Pureblood demons? Both. Now angels. Angels' eyes have a natural glow, much like how demons' eyes can naturally turn black. They have a natural healing aura as well, and I don't mind elaborating more on angels once I have enough ideas for them. Halos, they're kind of like an LED light bulb is how I explain them. It's great. They're very bright, and they can blind people if they're stared at for too long. Their wings, this was a big thing. Wings, for angels, if they've never gone to heaven, they have 1 set. If an angel spends its time almost half and half, they will have 2 sets. If an angel only stays in heaven and never leaves, they will have 3 sets. Only gods can have up to 10 sets or more than 3. The number of wings they have before stays the same if they were either corrupted or turned into a fallen angel, but it cannot change afterwards. Hi, Luna. Say hi to everyone. Good boy. Okay. If an angel is ever to have to fight somebody, they are able to create a spear, that is better explained with the picture. So they have naturally glowing eyes, the different types of wings, the halo, the naturally healing aura, and then, not to scale with wings, but the spear that pureblood demons can create. The shape right here can end up changing based on what type of pendant you end up resonating with. But it would be white as much as it is, that fades into purple for this one, but like blue or gold or any other color, that is that natural person's color. Half-bloods, their halos are much dimmer, they cannot have a second set of wings, and they are not able to create a portal to heaven. Half-blood demons are not able to create a portal to hell. They do still have a healing aura, but it is much weaker than that of a purebloods, and half-blood angels are only able to create a dagger, shown here. The gemstone shape can change as well in this one, as shown, unlike how I did not show it in the other one. Fallen angels. They are one of my favorite concepts, mostly for corruption, which I'll explain later. This video is getting extremely long. Haha. Okay, fallen angels. Their halos will appear gray with little to no glow. They can lose it completely or can appear shattered above their head. Their wings grow black or dark gray. They can end up losing feathers in most places, which if these feathers grow back, it'll be almost pure, almost a pure color of their power, like golden or blue. They do not have a healing aura at all. Their eyes will not grow. and they are able to form an almost invisible fire in the darkness. But it almost glows black in light. In, like, daylight, but it's almost invisible in darkness. Hi, Luna. Jeez. Come on, let me finish this video. This is what they look like. No healing aura, their eyes are dimmer, wings, fire, horns, halos, not horns. Then we got mutations and changes for angels and fallen angels. Where it is 1, they might not have a halo at all. 2, they can have pointed ears. 3, their feathers can grow very sharp and jagged-like, which is a mutation that is not looked up upon. This is a mutation that is looked down upon in angels because of how evil they look. Number 4, their power color can be almost completely in their pupils. It does not affect their ability to see. Number 5 is another one that is looked down upon, where their halo is bent upwards, almost like horns, but poses no problems. Number 6, it is a mix. They can have 1 or 2 strikes, or I think it's 1 to 3 strikes through their pupil that bleeds their power color. It does not affect their sight unless it creates a cross. Whereas on the left, you can see 1 or 2 where it's very small. It would bleed randomly, but it would not, not bleed in a sense, but like just their power color would kind of almost look like it's bleeding into the color of their eye. It is fine, it's just a color difference. Whereas on the right, you can see that the cross through the pupil creates an upside down cross. It would be the same if it was a right side up cross, where their power color bleeds, and they would be blind in that eye, or both if it was in both eyes. Demon and angel archetypes. This is one of the brand new things that I have. I have very little explanation on, I think, but it is in hell and heaven, different things that can be there. From like the first layer, I think it's explained as if 3 generations of a demon end up creating a child, it would be naturally a succubi or incubi, where their horns are a little bit different. Actually, I can just explain this going through. They have horns that are backwards almost, spiked tongues, lower wings, and always a heart-shaped tail tip. There is no mutations or changes that I have thought of for this species yet. If 2 succubi were to be able to create a child, whether it be through magic, which is the most common form, or in general, it would end up turning out much like this creature here, which would look absolutely terrible when they are born, but they look much cooler when they are fully grown, called halflings. Demonic halflings have curved horns, they are much furrier, and they show a lot of similarities with a corrupted form of that creature, much like angel halflings do. Corrupted forms are explained a little later. Imps, they are the final level of hell. They are the most populated, and they're pretty much there literally as rats. They are created mostly with magic. They cannot breathe, they don't have magic to use, they just run around being little shit disturbers. Heaven's 3 creatures are guardian angels, halflings, and biblically accurate angels, which most people will call them, but to be honest, they're not biblically accurate. Well, they kind of are. But anyway, we have guardian angels. Again, if 3 generations of angels were to create a child, the pure blood angels, by the way, as well as pure blood demons, they would create a guardian angel. They have 2 sets of wings, and their whole purpose is to protect people from evils, whereas succubi is to kind of convince people of evils and sin. You know, very natural things. They can look however they want, really, whether it comes to like their hair, body shape, just like succubi and incubi. It's just their wing placement and horns, and their halo is much smaller. Halflings. Again, they look much like the corrupted forms of their creatures, mostly created by magic, since angels don't like to have fun, as I'll say it right now. Biblically accurate angels, again, they are created mostly by magic, and they are there just to rule over heaven in a sense. They do most of the God's bidding up there, whereas if an angel becomes bad, they can enforce, or like they have a lot of magic to be able to just throw people into hell or turn them into fallen angels. It's a lot of pretty much high magic spells that they can create without using spell circles. Then we have Hell on a Broomstick. Breeding probabilities that were not added up along with the archetypes yet. So this is literally just as it is. Probabilities of breeding between humans, angels, demons, half demons. That's all I got so far. Fallen angels have very little difference towards normal angels, but their probabilities of having no child, whether it be in general infertility or having complications during birth, etc., etc., fallen angels, being terrible as they are, just cause complications in general, as well as half-bloods causing problems because they are experiments, which is explained in another side book of mine. But there is a whole bunch. Feel free to pause and just kind of examine it if you care. I don't. Next, we have corruption. It is one of my favorite subjects here. Think of a human going physically, mentally, and medically insane, losing all connection with themselves, their powers, or reality, whereas a human would be locked up in a white padded room. Who would be stupid to put a straitjacket on a corrupted demon, let alone impossible with their wings? This is what they'll look like. I didn't realize it was the next page. So it gives a whole bunch of explanation based on how pure demons can corrupt, how pure blood corruption really works, how they can act, how a demon can be corrupted, how their demon stones work. It's a lot to read, really. Of course, the link to this will be in the description if you want to read it. It's just a lot of me rambling, in a sense, about insanity. Of course, with pure blood angels, half-blood demons, half-blood angels, and then we have, of course, these. These are the ideas of what they would look like. Left is a half-blood, or a pure blood, it doesn't matter, a demon being corrupted. There is very little difference between half-bloods and pure-bloods when it comes to corruption. They look like this. Angels, again, they look like this in corruption. They are able to keep their weapon formed if they so choose. They are blind now, but they are very good at, like, using their senses. Demons, they do have massive wings. A lot of them chop them off to be able to move around, but they are absolutely massive. That causes them not to be able to move around, whether it's weight or the pressure they cause on their spine. So for the sake of being able to show this one, I didn't draw the wings for the demons, and I only drew the back wing for the angel to show the rest. Fallen angel corruption, again, one of my favorites. They have very harsh and fast-acting corruption because of how unstable they already are, and this is what they can look like. There's not really a lot to explain here, in a sense that there's a lot to explain here that I just can't. Next we have half-blood powers, and how they would act while corrupted, because every person's power acts different when they are corrupted. Shape-shifting, of course, whoever has the ability to shapeshift, much like Winter and Kayla, they are only able to shapeshift into one animal that's chosen, almost in a sense, randomly. Winter was able to transform into a wolf, Kayla's able to transform into a Atlas moth. If they are corrupted, they are stuck in that form of the animal, whether it be demonic or angelic, which is shown later because I love it a lot. Healing. This is the power that Star has. They are able to heal others. If they are corrupted, they are only able to create acid, which can dissolve almost anything. Waterbending. Demons cannot use their fire and water at the same time, but they're able to control water as if it was fire. While corrupted, the water turns to ice around them, including anything on them. Sweat causes them to freeze up, almost crystallizing. Power color control. This is literally just being able to change the color of their power, not just their fire, which can be used greatly to disguise themselves, whether it be their eye color, which is closely related to the power color, their wings, their horns, etc., completely changes color. While corrupted, though, their power color, whichever they choose or can't choose, depending on how much control they have over their corrupted form, will change their skin tone as well. But each color has its own negative effects, like red, a burning feeling, green, an overwhelming feeling of being sick, blue, a very cold, shivery feeling. Water breathing. Being able to breathe in and out of water. While corrupted, they're unable to breathe out of water, which for demons is pretty odd with them having to stay in water. So they're literally just a human forced to swim, because they can't do much in their demon form, let alone anything really. They can't form their fire in water. Teleportation. Although it uses a lot of power, the ability to teleport is up to 5 kilometers away from the beginning point. Of course, the longer distance teleported, the longer amount of power, or the higher amount of power it would take. Corruption, it is an extremely dangerous ability that most of the time will end up in them dying if they try and teleport, because they will teleport into walls. Now, mind reading! Not exactly what you would think. Only the ability to almost know everything about a person, not what they have done, by simply focusing on them. So they're able to look at someone and know everything about them, their personality, their memories. Corrupted, though, they can hear people's inner thoughts, especially the screams. They can deafen the person as well if someone is just so odd, mentally unstable even. If they hear someone scream in their head, thoughts are like 10 times louder to them if they are corrupted. Which, yeah, they will just be deaf. Being able to see and talk to ghosts. Now, one of my characters has this, and I haven't actually shown you the character. Every character ever will be at the end of this video, I swear they will be. But anyway, the ability to see or talk to ghosts. Of course, if they talk in another language, and you don't know, you can't understand whatever language they speak. You're just able to see them and talk to them. You might have to learn a language or two. Corruption, though. If they are corrupted, ghosts will turn very gory and haunt that person in any way possible, whether it's in or out of that ghost's control. And anything nice that a ghost would say to a person that is corrupted that is able to see the ghosts would be completely twisted, their words would be twisted, they don't understand it, or it is turned into threats and violence. More powers. We have talking to animals, which is pretty much exactly it. It is a great ability. Unless you're corrupted, where if you have the ability to talk to animals, you can no longer understand humans. And every animal will hate anything you say to them. Earthbending. Being able to control large rocks, pebbles, like anything that is earth, where it's rock, metal, or grass. But if you're corrupted, it's extremely dangerous. So the only really only safe space for people who have an earthbending ability would be hell or heaven, where it wouldn't affect them, because on Earth, if you were to be put in a cement room, the walls would crack and slowly crumble, trying to crumble in on you. Electricity bending. Being able to control electricity, like changing the program of something in your favor, just by using your power on it, or circuiting things. Or, if you're corrupted, every time you try and use fire or electricity, you will electrocute yourself. You can't touch wired things, or the same thing will happen as well. You flip a light switch and there, you're spazzing on the floor. Central gravity. You're able to change the gravity, or your own sense of gravity, be able to both walk on walls, make things lighter or heavier for yourself, or slightly float. But if you were corrupted, things would either be too heavy for you, too light in other circumstances, and sometimes you'll just get stuck on the roof. Your gravity will just be, like, completely backwards. You'll start floating and shit. Superhuman intelligence. It's more of a passive thing. Your ability to naturally learn things 10 times the pace and effectiveness of an average human. But if you were corrupted, you get a sense of dementia. You even forget what 1 + 1 is. A loss of all intelligence that includes common sense. You could be looking at a crosswalk, it would be red, and you would just start walking. You're like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Warrior. being able to create a force field and sword out of your magic. This is what Ira has. You're able just to create a sword and force field out of the magic, as well as create fire. It's just like an extra ability. But corruption, any magic items formed turned into shards that immediately go towards the summoner. Plant manipulation, being able to use plant matter to do whatever you wish, like creating life, or growing a plant, or using vines from a tree to wrap around the ankles of an enemy and hold them upright and get all the information you need out of them. But if you're corrupted, any plant around you will either die or try and fight against you for its life. Which, with your magic, would mostly end up with the plant winning, or at least the plant almost winning. Future vision. Almost being able to see what the day will bring you. Literally just being able to see a day into the future. Or, if you're corrupted, you're only able to see a day into the past, and past mistakes replay again and again in their mind. A lot like the off-color Sapphire in Steven Universe. That's where a lot of this one came from. Last two powers is human shapeshifting, being able to change everything about you except gender as a person, from color to shape, size, etc., etc. But corruption, your body shifts into an either unhealthier state, extremely overweight, malnourished, dangerously fragile, or extremely overweight and immobilized, both by risk of heart attack or from anything, and your body not being able to support itself. Telekinesis, being able to move things with your mind, or, if you're corrupted, any item you levitate tries to attack you, or, for lack of better words, flies violently towards you. All this, except shapeshifting into animals, is the same for both half-blood angels and demons. Now, shapeshifting corruption. Demons. This is what they would look like if they were, like, for example, Winter. If he was to corrupt, this is what he would look like. A lot of corrupted animals are used to fight for demons that have a better sense of mentality. So if you were a half-blood demon with the ability to shapeshift into a wolf, and you got corrupted and you lost your sense of mentality, you would now be someone else's pet or creature of their summoning, so to say. But their animal form would grow sharp, jagged teeth if they're able to. Flames will escape their mouth as their power increases. Their body, whether it's fur, scales, or feathers, become dark red splotches of that natural dark red demon color. Fire forms along their spine. And claws, sharp things. Their eyes glow brighter. This is kind of, goes for any other animal or creature you can turn into. So let's say a platypus, for example. They would get like an almost natural or unnatural power color circle around their eyes. They would have horns, and literally would just be a flaming ball of a platypus. There'd be like a straight line of fire along their spine. To be honest, I really want to draw it now. It sounds like it'd be cool as fuck to have a corrupted platypus. For angels, though, it is very different. They grow extra sets of wings. Their power color kind of glows out of their mouth, much like the fire does for a demon. They have halos and rings around them, which the halo around their eye, singular, a lot of the time blinds them or blocks their vision. Their eyes kind of merge into one, so to say, and they only have one eye to see out of. Now, spell-based corruption. It's very hard to merge the two if it's a spell-based half-blood creature corruption. I'm not too sure how it would work just yet. But spell-based corruption, it would obey all the previous corruption physics. They would just have these rings of their power color around them, an almost tear-like power color bleed from their eyes, etc., etc. It is shown below. That's the best I can really explain this one without going into this and reading word for word what I have here. Then we have, how would you kill a demon or an angel? Because, wow, they seem almost unkillable. Their power comes from their brain and their heart. It pulses through their blood. That's almost self-explanatory. You get to their heart, their head, their brain, they're gone. Lost souls, another concept that is almost completely done, but it is still in work. It is the ghosts of corrupted beings. That's it. Their power color is their color of like the flame that burns inside of them, as well as their eyes or any organs that they show based on how they die. They can form their feet, which would be very claw-like, or they can literally just be ghosty boys. Yeah, they just float around, really. Most times they are banished to hell or heaven. We have spellbook writing, which is still a work-in-progress concept, but I really wanted to work on something much like how much I was obsessed with wingdings when I was a little younger. So I was like, you know what? We're creating our own vocabulary for spellbooks. Some of them are... you like, can't read them. They look very odd. Some of them, they are very, very obvious to what letter they represent. I'm gonna move this cursor. There we go. Divine beings and medical issues that can happen. This one is a huge work in progress because there's so many things I want to add, but it's different medical problems that can arise literally just for a divine being. Where it's their power color, or their power itself can almost explode. There's a lot to read here. Feel free to pause and read it, because I'm not going over it. Now, cancer in general, mostly for angels and demons, that cancer can be worse because of how much they can try and heal. And it would just be, in a sense, growing that cancer. Random answered questions. How did the dads die? Aren't demons pretty much indestructible? It's kind of explained previously, but for more clarity, the fathers died in a car accident between each other. Winter was running away from his dad, while his dad was chasing him around roads and sidewalks until Winter crossed the street, his father following close behind, where Emma and Star's father hit him while driving, which caused the vehicle to flip while he swerved, pinning Winter's father under the vehicle. Emma and Star's father was knocked unconscious, which they would have both survived if Winter's father didn't decide to try and blow up the vehicle to kill Winter, which Winter survived, but it killed both fathers in the process. I just explained that one. Okay. Now we have one last page, kind of. No. Wait, books, I forgot the other books first. Hold on. Okay. So the ones I didn't explain. Corlia Revived and A Wolf's Tale. A Wolf's Tale is Winter's book. It explains everything through his point of view, whether it's his growing up, how his parents were great before his dad became angry with the fact that he wasn't a demon, let alone when he found out that he wasn't even his child. Of course, he was an alcoholic. He was drunk all the time, and he wanted an heir to the throne, in a sense. He wanted a pure-blood demon just like him as his son. So once he found out that he was adopted, and it was a secret held from him for so long, and the power and the spell that they eventually put on him to try and keep him tame faded, he ended up going wild, killing his mother, trying to kill Winter, turned Winter into a half-blood, which only made him angrier, because he looked at half-bloods as... what was the word I said? Okay, I don't know, he didn't say a word, but he, like, curses out Winter for all of that he created him to be. He hates half-bloods. But he kind of goes psychotic and chases after him forever. Winter was taken in by a firefighter on the scene. Where the necklace that he had turned into a demon stone that he had, where he was able to talk, although he was stuck in that form. Although, the firefighter, I don't remember, Tom, Tom the firefighter. He ended up taking off this necklace, as well as his collar that he stole from his stuffed animal, which was a gift from his mom that was literally just a white wolf pup, because he was super into wolves. Lucky him. So he was trying to get it back, as well as the book he took. It was a spell book from his mother, so he could try and bring her back one day, like in book 4. Eventually he makes friends with Tom's dog, Linda, who he's able to understand while being in that wolf form. Oh, it was a husky. It wasn't a golden retriever. Okay. But yes, Linda's a husky that helps Winter kind of exist as a dog as he's stuck in that form. Until he runs away just to keep Linda and Tom safe from the cops who rightfully accuses Tom of harboring a wolf pup. So it ends up going through every single book as Winter, except Curlia Revived, as Winter's point of view. How he's able to contact them, and then eventually he ends up going back on the day that everything happened to say hi to Tom and Linda and thank them for letting him stay there and helping him survive. And then he tells them, well, yeah, I'm better now, I can turn into my human. And then the cop comes back and he's like, I know you're harboring a wolf pup, I saw him run here, hand him the fuck over. And then the cop gets scared as fuck when Winter turns from his wolf form into his human form and be like, these muzzles are pretty uncomfortable. And he's like, oh my god, what the fuck? And then he's like, wait a minute, are you Winter Silverstone? And he's like, yeah. It's like, your mother wants to see you. And apparently, I'd say this in such a fun way, apparently his mother was revived by Emma and Star's aunt because they were best friends, which is shown super early in this book. So then finally Emma and Star figure out the teleportation spell and they were able to get to Winter and everyone's reunited and they're super happy and it's great. It's actually a super cliche ending, but I love it. Then we have the biggest book I've ever created. Curlia Revived. As the name suggests, Curlia was able to perform a spell where she revived herself right before her death that turned her into Kayla. A complete normal human being that grew up around the same time Emma and Star did. She ended up being able to get put in the same school as Emma and Star. And eventually, she finds out a whole bunch of stuff from her family. And I could go through every chapter here, which as you can probably see on the side, there's a little bit more than just 10 chapters. Actually, if you look over here in word count, 52,000 words. I didn't beat my goal of 55, but I was still very proud of this one. So we'll go through everything slowly. Act 1, Revival. Or, Curlia and Kayla's point of view, the beginning. Curlia finally died, and she's there, finally gaining all of her power back despite being a human. Actually, no, she wasn't a human anymore. She turned herself into a half-blood demon, the best she could do with the power she was given. So she's now a half-blood, and she's trying to hide it from her parents, because she doesn't want anyone to know who she is. So she goes to school one day, or the normal day, and Winter immediately senses something is off. He's able to sense that Kayla has more power than usual, and despite just seeming like a normal human being until that day, and everyone's kind of traumatized. It's like a week after Keisha decided to try and kill Emma. A week after, Emma's recovering from everything that's very much quickly weighing in on her. I made a Starbucks funny reference called Space Trucks. It's great. I love it so much. It's such a wholesome scene between the father and the daughter. Because, I wanted someone to have a normal father figure. So Kayla got the great father figure, where it's like, you want to go to that coffee place you like? What is it called? Space Truck? And then Kayla's like, Starbucks, Dad. Say it with me. Starbucks. And it's wholesome. I love it. But anyway, so Winter's catching on that Kayla is bad. I have a few guest appearances, like my friend Cookie saying, sit the fuck down, children, as a teacher. 10 out of 10, best humor I could imagine. Then we have the next one where it's, okay, actually, the ending of the first chapter, so to say, is Kayla decides, you know what, she revived herself for a reason, she's going to act on it. And it was to torture and get back at Emma. So she used a spell much like Winter used to contact Emma and Star, and she ends up trying to kill or at least torture Emma. Where Emma just had a problem. Her necklace was wrapped around her throat while she was sleeping, which just multiplied the fact that Kayla used these strings that she was able to form to try and suffocate Emma just as a threat. Which Kayla promptly immediately regretted. She didn't like the idea of seeing her that hurt in front of her, let alone when she sees her at school the next day. She is almost traumatized by the way Emma reacts to literally anything. They end up meeting eyes in this one. She was trying to return to those dreams, try and talk to Emma, wanting to apologize or get more information about Akeisha, which she didn't know was killed. And she didn't like the idea of seeing Emma slowly suffocate in front of her, so she didn't use the string. She didn't want to continue to traumatize Emma. She didn't like it. But when she goes to school, they end up seeing her. Hold on, right, where is it? Right here. Emma and Kayla end up meeting eyes, and Emma can see the power and the red tint to her eyes, much like Curlia's, which sends her into a spiral of scratching her neck with the fear of being suffocated by those strings again, which she ends up having to overcome throughout this book for a while, where Star ends up trying to get Kayla out of the area, just like, Kayla, give us a second, and Emma's spiraling very quickly into this panic attack state, where they end up slowly finding out that, or not even slowly, quickly finding out that with the new power, it completely matches, and Winter finds out immediately, or actually just Kayla kind of tells him, right here, really. Kayla hears Star and Winter talking about they need to figure out something to help Emma. And Kayla's like, I know it's not my place to interrupt, but there's this spell. And she's like, oh my god, they're going to know it's me. I'm talking about spells and shit. It's magic. They know it's me. Star is really suspicious. She knows that, like, something's up, and she just doesn't want anything more to happen to her sister. Much like how Emma just never wanted anything to happen to Star. Winter was, like, staring at her and knowing, and then eventually Ira comes along with, like, some salt packets, because she was spying, and you need some salt for some spells, and Ira's like, hey, here's this to help. And then before Kayla walks off, Star stops her and says, please, show me I can trust demons, which is a very key statement here. So Kayla gives Star the spell, which helps Emma, and then Winter's like, whose side are you on, Kayla? Or should I say, Curlia? Just to jump to conclusions, but rightfully getting the answer. But it wasn't really a suspicion anymore, because Winter could see the twine, the string that Curlia used in that dreamlike state to traumatize Emma in Kayla's hands. Where Kayla realizes, and she just bolts. She runs off. Flight or flight, completely flight. Just ran the fuck off. But they end up finding her. Winter wants to know why Curlia's back and what her plans are, so he hunted her down. Yikes. But he brought, Jesus Christ, excuse me. Winter brought, Star, Emma, and Ira along. Also, Ira gets so much in this book. She gets all of the rightfully needed, drama. But, well, it was for a reason, because Curlia and Ira were kind of, connected due to the power. So, I needed Ira in this book, whether it be for background characters, foreground characters, etc., etc. She needed to be here. But anyway, Winter knows where she is, but she ended up running to a place that Star and Ira are afraid of. But they're hesitant, and so Winter goes in. Emma doesn't know it's Curlia, so she just follows. She's like, I don't know why you want to find her, but if you're the one who upset her, so let's go apologize or whatever. So Winter finds her, pins her against a wall pretty much, in his wolf form, staring her down, and then arguing, and, like, he wants to know why Curlia, or Kayla, is here. And she's like, I've lived 17 long years as this quiet, kind girl. It's like, do you understand how hard it is to rely on a power to stay so much stronger and change your whole personality because of it? But Carl ended up being friendly to her, and she's like, oh my god, if this is what real friends are like, what am I doing? So, eventually she's talking, and Emma comes around the corner, but she's not about to stop talking because Winter's about to chew her face off. So Winter says, like, just says Curlia, like, trying to get her attention, and she cuts her off and is like, please call me Kayla, I'm not her anymore. And Winter's like, I will call you whatever the hell I choose, which kind of Emma realizes what's going on. She walks in the doorway, and, like, with the spell still in act, she doesn't have that fear and flight or fight response. She can stare at Kayla, knowing what she's done and wanting to react however she chooses. So she beats her up. But she doesn't beat her up a lot. She kind of punches her a few times with full force, yelling at her how it's terrifying to feel like she's on the brink of death every single minute of her life, trying to get it through her skull that Emma has felt this fear a lot, and she caused it. So Kayla just wants to apologize, and when Star finds out, whew, that's great. So, before Kayla leaves, she starts walking towards the doors, but she just ends up sitting down on the front, like a broken down couch in the front of this very crumbly foyer of a building. So Ira and Star's like, oh my god, what happened to you? What did they do? I don't think you deserve this. And it's like, and Kayla's trying to push Star away, saying, I don't deserve your healing right now. And she's like, what happened? And coldly, Kayla just says, I'm Curlia. Where Star just stares at Winter and says, explain. And it's so great. But then it switches to Emma's point of view after she runs off. She didn't want to fight them. She's between herself, trying to figure out if it was right to let her live, or if she should have killed her. All this regret from, like, she's changed to, she still tortured me the moment she could. And then she ends up talking to Clinton and Carl, where Carl, where it shows some, like, progress between, not really progress, actually backwards progress between Clinton and Carl because of all the chaos with Ava. Carl was slightly scared of Clinton, but, like, still loves him as much as he could. But eventually they see Emma, and they talk, and Clinton's like, something's bad, something's not right, you need to stay away from Kayla. And Carl's like, no, Kayla's my friend, until Emma tells them that Kayla was actually Curlia, and Clinton was kind of satisfied, but realizes how kind he was being. Carl felt betrayed and decided that he wasn't going to be, or he didn't want to be friends with Kayla anymore. Then it switches back to Kayla as she's sitting on that couch, and eventually they all end up yelling and fighting. And Star ends up showing signs of losing control of her power, which causes a big thing here. When Star ends up actually punching Kayla completely, like, full force, right in the side of the face punch. And to be honest, I think it is great, and I would love to animate it as great as I describe it, or even better, but, she ends up showing signs of not controlling her powers. One punch, she's like still angry, she's still yelling, she's screaming at her. Both of her eyes are turning black from holding back her power, until finally she punches her again, full force, her wings in demon form appear, her eyes return to normal, and Kayla is laying there, fucking coughing out blood and shit, and just sitting there, being like, wow, you really are a great sister for protecting and setting up for Emma, which kind of like makes Ira realize that she didn't mean any of it, and where Kayla straight out says, if I could take everything back, I would. Maybe not so much turning you into a demon, you seem to like it, but everything else. And anyway, colliding thoughts, Emma and Kayla are trying to get over being so angry at each other. Act 2 recovery. This is where she ends up telling her father that she's a demon. She ends up finding out after like the fight, but then she finds out her father is an angel, a fallen angel, for reasons they don't know, but Kayla suspects that it's her mother's doing. Forgiveness. There was some connection between Emma and Kayla where they started becoming friends again. Star is shown to be very resentful towards this connection, where she just thinks Emma's letting down her guard. Where it's new old friends, continues on that idea. Kayla's surprised that she let her in. Star is mad at Emma that she lets her in. A new obstacle is Winter's point of view through all of this, where he's like, he understands Star, but he's trying to explain to Star that, like, maybe she's right, maybe she has changed, but Star, in her very frazzled mind state, hates. She looks at him with complete betrayal, and of course, with Winter being in his wolf form, almost all the time, he has very wolf-like instincts half the time, so Star turns her back on Winter, which just gets him angry as hell. They argue, they fight, Star runs off. Which then Kayla tries to go and talk to Star, trying to be like, hey, you can take your anger out on me, I know I caused you so much pain, just let me help. Although, they misjudge how much power Star finally has. It kind of comes into perspective that it was about 20 people that turned Star into a half-blood demon, which would make her almost as strong as a pureblood, if not stronger. So, they end up fighting a lot. Like, best fucking fight scene I could have created, really. Because there's so much emotion rather than just fighting in it. There's arguing, there's yelling, there's taking moments to pause and evaluate things before it just goes to hell. Star ends up just losing control of her power. She kicks Kayla down, pinning her to the ground, letting her power get to the best of her, creating a weapon out of her magic, which is probably my favorite weapon out of anything I could have. It was something I wanted to create forever ago. It's a long, druid-like staff with a pointed end that would hold a blade, but it curls up at the top, almost like a hand, but with like 4 little... You know what? 1 second. This. It's not drawn exactly the way I wanted to draw it, but this is pretty much the scene I'm explaining right now. The weapon that she creates as she pins Kayla down. And she's there. Crystal ends up breaking as she's holding back all this power. And Kayla's trying to get all the information out of her to try and just let her explain herself. And then Star explains that she's scared of losing Winter. She's mad about all of the stuff that she couldn't protect Emma from, but she knows that she can protect Emma from her. And eventually, she's like, you won't get the chance to kill anyone ever again. But yeah, no, she says, sorry, I had to pause, so I didn't know where it was. She says, you won't ever get the chance to kill anyone ever again. As she creates the staff above her head, pins her down, she says, we all know you can't revive yourself again. So wouldn't it be neat to see what real death is like, without any angel coming to save you? Just like how you killed Emma. And so, that's it. She creates the staff above her head. She raises it with both hands. And that's it. Until this scene here where it's like she could hear crying. The cackling of hellfire. Cackling of hellfire around her. She couldn't see anything. She didn't know if her eyes could open. She could feel the blood all over her, really. But she could barely see Star in the corner of the room, curled in a ball, her hands on her head, her wings much bigger, and if you could remember from the Demon Girl Universe Handbook, demons' wings grow when they are corrupted. Much bigger. So, she tries to use a simple spell to try and say help to Winter, which Winter was able to hear. No one else was able to hear, so he knows that something is wrong. Winter ends up going to find them, and is traumatized at the sight and smell, of course. With his wolf form, he can smell blood so much better, which is worse. He could see Star half corrupted in the corner of this room, with Kayla bleeding out in the middle of this room, where Ira runs to her aid to perform spells. Emma's freaking out, and Winter just knows that if he freaks out, it's gonna get so much worse. So he tries to be the strong wolf man that that Star grew up to love. And, so he tries to calm her down, knowing that he's here, that he's sorry for making her angry, that he still loves her. And then, Ira asks if Star's okay, like seeing the state that Kayla's in, which she has a massive hole through her, like between her chest and her shoulder, above her heart, thankfully not at her heart. And this line right here, it's like, yeah, there's not a scratch on her. Her referring to Star, this Winter's point of view, and he sighs knowing that Kayla didn't do anything to stop her because she just wanted to let Star get her anger out, which Emma feels guilty for, but Winter says that there's nothing that she could have done because she needed help from herself, really. But anyway, the only thing that will help her from feeling as terrible or corrupting again is if Kayla makes a full recovery. So everyone is stressed the fuck out. And Ira decides to try and take care of Kayla as much as they could, so they end up going back to their house to help them both with spells for 2 weeks, where they're both in a coma. Star because of how much power she used, Kayla because she needed to recover. Kayla ends up going through this giant thing where she doesn't know if she's dead. There's nothing, no noise, nothing to touch, nothing to see. She thinks this is death. Where she was really just in a coma, trapped in her own mind. Where she's barely able to hear people's voices every so often. She loses touch on reality. She doesn't know who she is, who these voices are, but she knows she keeps wanting to hold on to this one voice, which is Star's, who is just feels as guilty as can be, until she realizes that this was a coma. And she was so scared of dying that she was able to kind of wake herself up from being in this coma, from Star healing her and talking to her almost daily, from ideas to what they could do when she wakes up, to apologizing profusely. And then, of course, they're like, oh my god, she's waking up, go get her dad. And, of course, in the middle of this drama-filled chaos, her dad, in his fallen angel form, black wings bursting out from his back, runs into this room, panicked as fuck, because he knew, but he didn't want his wife to find out, because his wife is completely against demons, and if she knew that something like that happened, all hell would break loose. Which, you know, it promptly does later. But anyway, her dad comes bursting in the room, ready to kill anyone who gets in his way. But, of course, he's the kindest soul ever, so he's just there to protect her. Anyway, Star starts trying to recover, but promptly just gets worse. She's super anxious around everything. The idea of her, a healer, killing someone is stuck in her mind, and she doesn't know how to overcome that. Emma ends up recovering slightly from all the trauma. She's happy that Kayla's gone and feeling better. And it kind of finally shows the final bit of book 6, where it ties into the second life very briefly, and it shows the disconnection between it, where her second life, technically mine, doesn't switch over anymore. She's constantly missing Star and is getting bored of her own life, but is happy with whoever she's talking to on the computer, which is great. Anyway, so then Emma starts yelling at Kayla for using her powers after just getting out of a coma, but then they're okay. Then there is some giggles between Kayla and Emma for Kayla picking on Emma about being love-struck, even though she doesn't really know what to do because it's not her life. And Kayla ends up going to school even though she is still recovering mentally mostly, but it kind of shows that everyone's super worried about her. Carl's being a baby and not wanting to talk to her, but is super scared about losing her. So Clinton has to step in and tells Carl to stop being a baby. But Clinton actually does something great. You know, huge character developments. He just kind of calmly goes over and hugs Kayla. This cold man, who's like almost 7 feet tall, goes over and hugs this short bean with so much emotion before like just pushing her away and saying, "Don't tell anyone I did that." And he's like, "Oh my god, you worried about me? You worried about me?" And it's great. Anyway, so Ira ends up learning more about spells. Star ends up getting super anxious and stressed and everything, really. Social anxiety for the idea of everyone staring at her knowing what she's done. Then they find out that Kayla's mom found out about everything, and there's something wrong with her, and she's been doing a whole bunch of spells. She ends up turning into a fallen angel. But before all that can go down, Kayla finds out that after they were both in a coma, Winter decided to mess with Kayla and Star's magic, 1, to keep them both alive, and 2, to make sure that Star doesn't corrupt again, by giving some of Star's power to Kayla, which Kayla promptly hated. Star didn't know, but Kayla could feel it, 'cause she doesn't like the idea of being powerful and getting hungry with that power and hurting them. But then anyway, so they find this area where Kayla's dad was sent to after Kayla's mom found out about everything and technically kidnapped Kayla's dad. Hid him in a room with a whole bunch of spells, with a memory loss spell, kind of make him her puppet. They end up finding out, shit goes down, Kayla's mom kidnaps all of them in cages, but Kayla was able to escape. Then Kayla's mom, the fast-acting half-blood corruption, quickly causes her to corrupt and go crazy, trying to kill them. They were able to save each other. And once they were able to kill Kayla's mom in an attempt to save everybody else, which actually is a beautiful scene in my eyes, after everyone's at their wit's end, and the magic that Kayla's mom has is kind of fading, while she's fighting and completely corrupted at this point, Kayla's dad is finally able to get all of his memory back. Everything that has happened and everything that she made him do to turn him into a a fallen angel. So he's able to finally go through with all of this and calm everyone down and just regain everything that's happened. So as everyone's at their wit's end, he stands up with this brilliantly glowing angelic spear, and he prays to whatever god he believes in, trying to convince them and himself and everyone around him that what he is doing is right as he kills Kayla's mom to protect everyone else. Which she turns into a lost soul in front of all of them, kind of like bows her head in a very thankful way, and disappears. And then, everyone kind of is like a week or two, or a few weeks after everything. First week of summer, they went on a picnic, like Star promised Kayla while Kayla was still in a coma. Shows recovery, it shows that everyone's getting therapy, finally, and just the recovery and character development of everyone just being okay in the end. Now, we have the side books that I've created. So, 1 second. So, we have a few here. Obviously, you can see some really funny shit, like the Star X Winter stuff. That is exactly what you think it is. It is me being lovey-dovey and giving them little date scenes in random books. But anyway, we have fun ones that I love that I shouldn't love, which is Forbidden Book 7, I think is the remade one. Rewritten. Okay, so I did get it right. Forbidden Book 7 is exactly as it seems. It seems it's like a book 7 to everything, so Corlear 5 doesn't happen, but instead this does. She doesn't do that double life thing anymore. She's completely messed in the head. She's scarred mentally from the fights, from almost dying. And eventually she ends up corrupting slightly. She ends up in the hospital a few times from a fall. It's actually one of my favorite ones. I won't get into it just because of this right here, this giant warning where it's not suitable for literally any audiences. Not really, but like it's really bad. And then Aftermath is a sequel to that, where it's Star's point of view after everything, not understanding why Winter and Emma are getting along after them almost killing each other twice. So she goes crazy. She ends up actually going to hell through a portal that Ava made, where they regain their friendship, but since Star was in hell, she was turned into a full-blood, and once Winter finds her in the forest, being a full-blood, he thinks it's something like Corlear again. And so, he kills her. And the moment he kills her, he realizes as she throws the necklace towards him, he realizes what he does, and he's stuck in his wolf form again. Traumatized, and he just grabs this necklace, and he slowly walks back to their house to meet Emma at the door, where Emma is just... she stares at him with hatred, and like, there's emotion between them where Emma knows... Boop, 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 hold on. So, yeah, okay, so he goes... Where is it? Okay. He puts his head against the door, like the front door, just creating a soft thud. Emma opens the door and falls to her knees with Winter, and Star's necklace in his mouth. She could feel it when she died, because it was like the same feeling that Star would have had when Emma was killed. So she knew, but her anger almost got the best of her. She lifted her hand into the air to create a fireball to kill Winter, and Star tries to scream at her, even though she's just a ghost floating above them. And Emma seems to hear her, or at least knows that she wouldn't want that to do this. Or Star wouldn't want Emma to do this. So she ends up going to make them tea, and Winter is just silent until, like, hours later, he's sitting on the couch, tea in front of them, and he just coldly says, "I killed her." And it is terrible, until he starts on this ramble about how she was a full demon and she didn't know, and my favorite line, really, Star goes back to hell as a ghost to talk to Ava, and, like, she's angry. She knows that Ava created the portal, and she's like, "What the hell happened to you? It's been, like, 3 hours. It's like a misunderstanding. It'll be fine." "You're dead! How is that fine?" And it is great. Comedy gold in my eyes. So they end up, using the power she ended up gaining as a full blood to revive her, whereas Ava decided to create a spell to go back and revive herself, much like Kirlia did in Kirlia Revived to become Kayla, but she ends up turning into someone completely different generation later. And that is where this book ties in, Crystal Awakenings, which has not been finished yet, but it introduces a few new characters, Avalon, Crystal, and Jasper. Crystal is Star and Winter's child. She's great, she can see ghosts. Avalon is the reincarnation of Ava, who becomes friends with Crystal, while Crystal is being haunted by Jason and Devin's ghost, while being friends with another ghost called Jasper, and she's really great. I haven't created a lot of this book yet, it's nowhere near done, but she's able to talk to Star and Emma's dad as well, which Star hates and loves at the same time. Then we have Book 8, which is, I haven't figured out a name for it, which is the best. It is Clinton and Carl's book. I have 9 minutes to explain this one, and then it'll be done, it will be fine. Clinton and Carl's book. It's a lot. It's gay as fuck as well. You know, we love the gays. Chapter 1 starts off with a flashback of Clinton in a nightmare where it shows Clinton's dad yelling at him to run while his brother Jake is promptly trying to kill them both with 3 other demons that are also trying to kill them. They were some sort of mark that they needed to be completed from hell itself. Then it cuts to Clinton where he is now, in a room that he shares with Carl. Separate beds, don't get any funny ideas yet. Where his mother is, like, worried about him, and Carl's worried about him, but he's like, "I'm fine, it's fine," because he was told if he talks about it to anybody, they would hunt him down and kill him again, or try to. Chapter 2, again, it starts off with another flashback, as it does for a bit, and it's progressive. Like, this one gets worse. It's showing the relationship between Jake and his brother, and Jake and his friends, where Jake is bullying Clinton, where Jake's the younger brother, but he's a demon. So he's bullying Clinton and burning him with his hellfire until his friends, the other demons, come along and they're like, "Come on, we got missions. The last one you might like," which is a hint towards the last mission was him killing his family. But the rest of it is where Clinton and Carl realize, from their point of view, Emma is possibly a demon, just like Jake was. So that's why Clinton is constantly against Emma. He worries that he's exactly like his brother. She is exactly like his brother, Jake. So she's super, he is super cautious of Emma, worried that he's going to get killed by her, so she starts having to defend herself from them, because Clinton has convinced Carl to attack her and bully her because she is much like the person who killed his family and tried to kill him. But Carl, being the little bean and looking up to Clinton, he agrees with him and continues on. So, chapter 3 shows Jake, through another flashback, talking to his demon friends on the phone, and he's like, I hate it here, but this seems like a stretch, where he's referring to the mission of killing his family. And then, of course, he starts yelling at Clinton for spying on him, where Jake's like, do not call me your brother, where he's trying to distance himself the best he can from the family that he is about to get rid of. Where then, it switches to Clinton and Carl talking about demons, and Clinton finally explaining to Carl that she's a demon. She's the one that killed my family. And so once they find out, and pinning Star and Emma into a fight, where Emma promptly shows her demon form to try and just scare them off, he realizes that Star kind of controls Emma in a sense, that Emma listens to Star. So then there's some like almost cute moments between Carl and Clinton, where Carl's super scared, but realizing, it's like, oh my god, she's a monster, you were right, yada yada, and he's like, oh my god, you're burnt though, because they got hellfire around them. Carl just looks like he got a really bad sunburn, and Clinton, he was burnt already, so it didn't really show on him, but he knows that he was burnt worse than me. And he's like, it's not the first time I was trapped in a fire. Probably won't be the last. Which is kind of funny, but like, oof. So they're talking and trying to say that, oh, they're fine, yada yada, but like, Carl's super worried about Clinton, but they know that they need to do something. And Clinton's surprised, and it's like, oh my god, he's so angry. And he blames Emma for this, saying that, oh, this damn demon changed him. When in reality, Clinton did it. But anyway, chapter 4 shows the final bit of the fight between Jake, the other demons, Clinton, and his father. It's the final bit of the fight between them all. Whereas Jake is killing his father and trying to kill Clinton. Carl's trying to wake Clinton up from this nightmare, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. It'll be the last day this happens, because they are prepared to go and kill Emma, like book 1. But it is shown, I think this chapter previous, that Clinton is on meds to stop these like almost psychotic episodes, but he skips it this day. So that is why he takes the extra step and tries to kill Emma in the middle of the schoolyard, showing everyone that she's the demon, she's the monster, when in reality he did it. But because he was off his meds and promised the cops and stuff that he would continue on his meds and he wouldn't do it again, he was let off with pretty much a fucking warning. Which, you know, fuck the cops in any type of situation. But he also had a very odd, damsel in distress type of act. He's like, oh, she's a demon, I was just trying to protect everyone. You know, racism at its finest, apparently. So they're like, okay, you know what, you're terrible, you're not going to school for a while, and as well as Carl. Carl was, taken out of school as well. They talked, there's like, oh my god, I almost killed her. She was sad. Clinton was super sad and regretful, and Carl took half the blame for it, even though they all knew Carl was innocent. But Carl ends up telling the cops that his brother was a demon that killed his father and burnt down their house, etc., etc. How Clinton survived, Carl wasn't told yet, and Carl's just trying to be there for Clinton. Where it explains that, and then Clinton explains that he was adopted 3 other times. They all just didn't like him, in a sense. Then in chapter 5, it's almost peaceful. where it shows a happy moment between Jake and Clinton, where they're just playing with gifts and stuff before Jake decided to make a terrible group of friends. It's almost peaceful. And then they continue. It explains the ending part of book 1 where they're trying to get back together and they're trying to be friends and they're okay. also, because I didn't know what I was doing really, but I decided to make them furries. And it's funny to me, because, like, they just had Halloween costumes. A wolf and a fox Halloween costume, which is totally fursuits. That when his mom's like, you need to go apologize to them. It's like, in disguise or whatever. And they come through the doors back home after talking to Emma, and their mom sees them and is like, by disguise, I didn't mean literally. And it's adorable, really. So they're great. They go and they try and apologize, and they explain to her that they're sorry and they never wanted this, and they just know that they wanted to, Emma just wanted to protect Star. And they understand that. But anyway. I don't remember. Oh yes, okay, so Carl, like, takes Clinton's hand to, like, kind of drag him away from all of this as they start walking home. And then it goes to this scene where it's Carl continued to hold my hand, even though, as in Clinton's point of view, so Carl continued to hold Clinton's hand even after I'd calmed down. We continued to walk home. We were halfway there before I realized we were still holding hands. It's like, Carl? Clinton mumbles off. He's like, yeah? And he's like, looks at the hands, and he pulls them away all panicky. He's like, thank God. It was starting to get all sweaty, and they, like, kind of laugh nervously. Anyway, chapter 6, it kind of, like, the best character developments, like, you seem to wake up peacefully from now on, from, like, being friends with what he thought was the enemy. It starts off with just character development between all of them, how they react in school, and then chapter 7 introduces Ava. Oh, actually, no. Chapter 8, I think, introduces Ava. This is just more character development where they were stuck together in classes and they're trying to just get, in a sense, closer to each other, being friends, etc., etc. Chapter 8, Ava is introduced, and it shows their point of view from when she is... she had the spell on them and is controlling them. And eventually, Clinton's able to, try and get out of that spell, and he helps Carl get out of the spell as well, until Ava has to put the spell back on them to continue what they need to do. And they're yelling at each other, and... well, not really yelling at each other, just yelling in general because they're hurt, they're angry. The spell finally wore off, and they're feeling all of the pain from what they were forced to do. And so Clinton just carries Carl home. And it's kind of cute. Chapter 9, they ended up getting put under the spell again once Ava found them at school. But they were able to communicate to each other through the spell since it was technically the same spell. So, in the end of this, they were put through the spell. Explains the rest of them being worried after Star and Emma disappear, worried that they kill them, that Ava killed them, which Ava did kill Emma, so they weren't wrong. And then there was this cute scene, hold on. It's like, hey Carl, you got something on your face. He looks at me confused, rubbing the wrong side of his face as he questions me. Your nose! And he's like, really? He asks, growing slightly. He's like, no, but really, you got a bit of toothpaste on your cheek. No, the other one. You missed it. Just come here. And he... look. So, like, he grabs his face, really, and he, like, rubs the toothpaste off of it, and he's, like, his face is turning red, and he's staring into his eyes, And he's like, Clinton, what are you doing? He's like, just making sure I got all of it, and he pushes him away again. It's great. I love the tension between them. And it's gonna wrap up properly, I promise. So then they realize that they probably helped him kill her. And so they're panicking until they're under the spell again, and it's the end of book 4 where they are almost dead, or almost about to be dead, as they are forced to fight Star, Winter, and Emma. But they're able to, like, figure out what's going on. Wait. No, wait, that happens later, I'm sorry. There's a lot of character development between all of them, and then, yeah, okay. Still being not possessed, but, like, controlled by the spell. There was a really wholesome moment between, like, they were super worried about them dying, and Clinton just wanted to protect Star, but not knowing how, and the only way that they knew how or thought of to get out of this spell or let them know was literally just to scream their heads off, and it worked. In chapter, jeez, I don't have any more. Okay, so yeah, the ending is, so far right now, is the end of book 3 and 4. There's going to be a lot more. There's so much more I want to add, where it's Clinton and Carl and their relationship through book 5 and 6 needs to be done. It might not be done very well, but it needs to be done. And then Corellia revived, and that whole side book's shenanigans. And then, after all of that, there's going to be at least one chapter of just non-chaos, where they just get a few moments to figure out themselves, maybe even 2 or 3, where they start working on themselves. They try and figure out how are they going to be more than best friends while his mother is technically still adopting him. But he turns 18, he's like, oh wait, this is it. Unadopt me, I can live by myself now. And he's like, you know what? Alright, I think you know what you're doing, you're smart. So they technically, like, with papers and stuff, unadopt Clinton. So Clinton and Carl can start working on themselves and their relationship, and they start getting over all the drama and chaos that they went through together, all of the PTSD and stress they had to deal with and pursue, and they start talking. There would be a few arguments here and there, but they start talking, and they understand more of what they need to do or what they want to do with the relationship, and then boom, Jake comes back. Jake comes back, and, like, not very suddenly, in a sense. There'll be a few hints here and there where Clinton feels like he's being watched. Like, there's something that he needs to be scared of. So then, there's gonna be a few scenes like that, and then eventually Clinton's going to be walking with Carl through a mall of sorts. I might even make him dye his hair slightly. I'm not too sure. I probably won't. I don't know. But anyway, so he's going to end up seeing Jake and at least one of the other 3 demons he was friends with in the mall, which sends Clinton into a panicking, angry spiral, which I think what I'm going to try and do is have him in a daydream state where he plays out this giant scenario of fights and stuff, and it slams back down to reality where Clinton's staring at a space where no one's there anymore. There's people almost looking at him, and Carl is standing there in front of him, trying to get his attention, saying, hey, we need to go home, what's wrong, etc., etc. And eventually, Clinton's trying to hide it from Carl. He doesn't want him in more trouble, he doesn't want him in more drama, so he hides it from Carl. Until, I think what I'm gonna do is they're going to go to the mall again or something, and Clinton's going to be super anxious about everything, but he just wants Carl to have fun until finally he ends up having another panic attack, and Carl's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And then Clinton finally snaps and says, I saw Jake. And at first, Carl doesn't believe him, because, like, he's in this frantic state. He's like, Clinton, maybe you're hallucinating. Maybe it was you you think you saw him. And it's either gonna go two ways. It's either gonna be one, they recover, and then Jake shows his face later, or, what I think is going to be a better option, because more drama, Jake's gonna be at, like, the end of a mini hallway of some sorts, or, like, just a good few feet away, and he's like, Clinton? And they're staring at him, and it pauses, it, like, stops at that chapter. Chapter is done. Jake is staring at Clinton and Carl as they're staring at him. Jake's alone this time, and he's just staring at his brother with an almost thankful look on his face, because he isn't seen by any of his demon friends. And I think it's gonna be great. I think it'll be absolutely beautiful, really. But what I do want, and don't know how I'm going to do it, is I want Jake to, like, look around frantically and be like, oh my god, no one's looking, right? No of the demon guys are here. And he, like, runs up to Clinton and is like, Clinton, I'm so thankful you're okay. I'm so happy you're alive. And Clinton just fucking sucker punches him, like, straight fucking up, and it'll be great. And of course, Jake is on his ass on the ground, staring at his brother, who Clinton is, like, his hands are clenched in tight fists. One of, like, the hand he hit him with is bleeding slightly because of the force or whatever the fuck. And Carl is, like, taken aback. He takes a step back because he is scared of Clinton's ability to hurt people after the fight with Emma. So he takes a step back, staring at Clinton, as Clinton's staring at Jake with so much hatred in his eyes it would match a demon. And they just stare at each other. They stare at each other for a while. They see people pass by. There's people stop to see them. And I don't know what I want to do. Because I don't know if I want to redeem this character yet. Kill him off. Or have him run away as the same villain he was before. I don't know yet. So what I might do is finish book 8, in quotations, off on that type of cliffhanger, and make 3 more side books, where it splits off into 3 paths. They forgive each other and move on, and they may even, like, get closer as actual brothers, where Clinton sees that Jake has never changed. He's still the same person he was before, no matter what Jake says to try and convince him. And eventually, either, like, the anger gets the better of him, and he does try and lash out, but he's already told Emma and Star and says, hey, listen, I need a favor from you guys. It's like, I don't know what you need to do, but there's this guy, and he explains the situation with Jake, and Emma's not on board to hurt anyone. But Kayla's only slightly on board after seeing how Carl reacted. After seeing the fear in Carl's eyes, because they're friends. So Kayla tries to defend them. And either there's going to be a giant fight, much like in Demonic Encounters, Book 6 with Akeisha, where there's a Hellhound and Akeisha. There might be a fight with all the demons. Star, Ira, Kayla, Winter, Jake, his 3 friends that have still not been named, Clinton, Carl, possibly even Kayla's dad, but that one might be a big maybe. Or then the final option where Clinton is yelling at Jake and he will not stop, and there's conflict between them, but Jake's just trying to be the better person whenever his friends aren't around. But, like, there's going to be a few scenes, no matter which story it chooses, where Jake and his friends are around and they see Clinton and Jake's immediately trying to point them in some other direction, trying to get them away from Clinton. Because, of course, if they were told to go kill this guy and they didn't do it, the higher authority is going to yell at him immensely. Just like how Kalia and Akeisha were people who, like bounty hunters almost. They were to follow orders and nothing else, or they would get severely punished, no matter which way it would take. But also, I'm pretty sure this is going to show, like, no matter which area it is when it comes to Kayla's point of view, it's going to show that Kayla was someone who was summoned in hell as Kalia a few times. And she knew the guys. So they would have a connection, even though they don't know who Kayla is, but Kayla, as Kalia, knows who they were. So they know their weaknesses, and etc., etc. So either Jake's going to be sent to a different part of the world, hopefully never to be seen again. Jake's either going to be killed, or Jake and Clinton are going to be friends, or at least no longer enemies. I'm not too sure yet, but God, I am excited to find out which way this story will take me once I continue writing it. Now, on to the final, hopefully, bit of this fucking ramble. Jesus, I've never talked for 2.5 hours this long before. We have this. All side characters, canon side book characters, all the main characters, all the parents. Ignoring the fact I know I forgot 3. That I do have a list for, and that I will be explaining on at the end. So we will go through this as we will. All of the characters are up to date at the end of Kalia Revived. So, as they are, it's the end of Kalia Revived. Not the end of Crystal Awakenings, of course. Any character you have, or you see a little, let's just flip to one. Avalon. This little corner here explains that they're a sidebook character that's not technically up to date with the end of Kalia Revived. This one shouldn't be here. Bonk. So here we go. That's not the first one. We have Emma, of course. I still have yet to put all the pictures in. There will be probably 3 times as many slides as there are on here now. You feel free to pause, you'll get random tidbits of information you don't need, but there's there anyway. We have Emma, Star, Emma's sister. Of course, their last names, if they have any, are here. We have Winter, last name Silverstone. Crystal, last name Silverstone, taking after her father. The age and height isn't done yet, as well as weight, because we don't know where I'm going with the end of Crystal Awakenings yet. I don't know if she's going to be a teenager at the end of it, or still just a child having to deal with all of this. Then we have Ira. I haven't chosen a last name for her in the series because I don't want to choose her real life last name along with any of the other characters in here that are based off real people. Because 1, it's odd. 2, I don't want to give him a fake last name. It feels odd too. But anyway, with Carl, he has no last name. I haven't figured out one yet. With Clinton, also no last name. They're not going to be the same. Don't ask. Jake, of course, is going to have the same last name as Clinton. Kalia, I'm pretty sure almost had a last name in my series. I just didn't think of one yet. We have Kayla Andre, which is canon last name for Kayla. We have Akeisha, no last name. Ava, no last name. Avalon, no last name. Avalon, again, is much like Crystal in the sense I don't know where her story's going. We have Jason, no last name. Devin, no last name. Yeah, no last name. Also, if you were paying attention or need to pause at all, everyone has ages. Of course, something like Jason and Devin, their ages stop when they die. Just like Ava, she was 19 when she's dead. We have Andre, which is Little Bean. He's 11. We have Jack, another Little Bean. You also may have noticed even humans have the color. Because their soul colors exist nonetheless, whether it be human, angel, demon, etc., etc. They all have a color. Jack is the one who is a demon, so I think when I was very starting this out, I did Andra and Jack backwards. Jack's the demon, Andra's little bean. We have Cassie, Sierra, Maddie, and Ava's up there. So they all have no last name, but they have finished pictures, which I was really proud about. We have Winter's dad, Atticus Silverstone. I can't remember if I purposely chose the name Atticus based off of To Kill a Mockingbird or not, but I know that's all I can think about now. So, yes, Atticus Silverstone. Winter's mom doesn't have a last name, but her married last name is Silverstone. I don't know if I'm going to have a maiden name for her or not, because it doesn't matter. Oh, I guess it does matter now that she's no longer married to the said man who is dead. We have the aunt, who doesn't have a name at all yet. We have the mom, who again doesn't have a name. The dad doesn't have a name. Kayla's mom doesn't have a name. Kayla's dad doesn't have a name. Clinton's dad doesn't have a name. Clinton's mom doesn't exist. And then we grab the list of character names because we've run out and there's so many more. Random info, there we go. Ira, Jason, Devin, Akeisha, Sierra, Maddie, Sierra, that's his Cassie, Emma, Star, Winter, Clinton, Carla, Kayla, Ava, Curlia, Jake, Jake's friends. Okay, Jake's friends, none of them have a name yet, but all three of them are going to be included in this list when we're done. Emma's parents, Winter's parents, the aunt, Clinton's dad, Andra's mother. Andra's mother is a big one. She ends up playing the biggest part in Forbidden Book 7, just because she's a doctor, and it's not really a big part, but, you know, she exists. Carl's mother's going to be on here as well, eventually. Yeah, Andra, Jack, Firefighter Tom. I do want to add him because he is a big part in Winter's story. We're going to add Linda because why not? We might add the coyote that appears in like 4 scenes throughout every book. Because it just exists to show people's powers by pinning Star when she was just turned into a demon, or pinning Emma when Star just turned into a demon, so Star ends up using her powers to save Emma. We will probably include the cop, because why not? He's a funny little character. We have, Crystal Avalon. I do want to add one for Jasper. Jasper is the ghost I talked about in Crystal Awakenings. Oh my god, is that it? Is that everything I could possibly ramble about in this series? Who knows? I'm gonna do a brief look over of everything I got. Yep. That is it. So, going over all of this again, Jack... Let me double check. I'm so good at this, I swear. Where is it? Okay, yeah. Jack is the demon. Jack, Andra, Carl, Winter, Emma, Star, Clinton, Maddie, Ira, that's one Sierra, Cassie, Curlia, Akeisha, Jason, Devin, Ava. I don't have the other beans, Noelle, Taya, Linnea, and Bianca, as characters fully, because they aren't there in many scenes, but I just wanted a tribute to the best friends I've ever had, really, and every friend that I could add. Some of you may be like, wait, didn't you have another friend? His name was like Cookie or something. Because, the Mr. C thing. He's actually in the very end. Here, let me go grab it really quick. Bonk. Okay. It's actually wholesome. Because I'm pretty sure Ira came in this play too. Okay, yeah. So, she starts in this life, right? My life. She realizes she can't fly and that this is going to be confusing, but then in the end she meets up with Ira. They both sit down at the park while Emma is trying to explain to Ira everything that's going on. They wait for her friend Justin, which I'll probably rename slightly. But I might actually, you know what, I will rename, because they changed their name. Oh, we're not gonna be big meanie heads here. There we go. We'll probably change it, depending on if they ever change their name more, because I like being good bean. But anyway, yeah, Ira and Cookie, or Clementine, end up getting a final end part here because they're great. Whew. But yeah. And then, of course, yeah, this little ending tribute for this it's really nice. I am Emma, a link between lives, an uncontrollable demon girl, betrayed and corrupted, but best of all, loved no matter what, in both lives and both forms. 2.5 hours. And I don't know if you remember or not, but in the sun I was like, here, let's try and get this done in under 10 minutes. I think I went over 10 minutes, guys. And I explained everything in, like, almost the least amount of detail I could. This is terrible. I don't understand how I can ramble this long, really. I guess I should start streaming and get my words out more. But yes, this is all I got for now. Hopefully, I'm sorry I tried to make this short. I did, but apparently there's just a lot. Whew. So, I hope you all enjoyed. There is going to be a link in the description. Only one, and you'll understand why the moment you click it. I ended up organizing everything. Every link you could ever need for any of these books, any of the random websites, is going to be in that one Google Doc, which actually I'll show you guys, so you guys don't have to get confused. No, we'll go back one. Bunk. All the links. This will be the link that's in there. We'll have book 1. You're going to want to, if you want, like, the main story itself, click on Good. Good is the last drafts of everything that there is there. But yeah, we have all of book 1, all of book 7 here, all of book 2, 8, 3, 6, well, you know what, let's do it properly. Book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, book 6, Corellia Revive, which is technically book 7. We have book 7, technically-ish, which is side books, A Wolf's Tale. It's Winter's book. Book 8, Unknown, Clinton and Carl's book. Forbidden book 6 or 7 is that one, Aftermath, and Crystal Awakenings. Then we have the social stuff. We have the YouTube link, which you won't need to find. We have the DeviantArt, we have the Twitter, we have the Facebook group, the Discord group, the Roblox game, which probably will be remade completely soon. And I say soon with a grain of salt. We have Twitch, which probably isn't active anymore. TikTok. We did have a Patreon at some point, but that died. We have the Demon Girl Universe Handbook link. We have the character book link. We have the Discord server guide link. And then we have the random links. We have the Dream Story, which is old. We have the Patreon, which is old. And we have extra links, which is just the YouTube specials that I would like to mention. With all of the book readings will be here when I add them. Eventually. But we also have the 100 subscriber special and 200 subscriber special. But yes, this will all be in the description, of course. So I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to stay happy, stay healthy, and stay creative, everyone. Bye!